Hi everyone, Donna here with Bookkeeping Made Simple. This is the Bookkeeping Made Simple podcast. Eventually I'm going to get this intro right. And this is the show where we talk about everything to do with business, from mindset, nutrition, wellness, which is critical for business owners, to marketing, sales, accounting, payroll, and tax. And accounting, payroll, and tax are my specialty, so I tend to talk about that quite a bit. I'm really asking you to join me on my own journey. I am not a guru. I am not a coach. I'm just sharing the information that I have gleaned and that I'm putting into practice for my own business and my own, um, for myself, basically. So today I want to talk about what to do to start a business, how to really build wealth. And the number one way of building wealth is to start a business and make sure it's profitable. The number one way of losing wealth is to own a business that's not profitable. So we want to make sure that you get off on the right foot if you want to start a business. Some of the things that I talk about in this episode, though, are going to be just as applicable to people who are intrapreneurs. So we're usually very familiar with the term entrepreneur, entre meaning out, and that involves people who leave the organization that they're a part of and they start their own. They start their own business. An intrapreneur is someone that builds their empire, so to speak, inside of someone else's organization. So this is like the executive assistant that is so good at her job, nobody can function without her. She's an intrapreneur. And those are just as critical. So the information that I'm going to share here is specific to entrepreneurs, but you can also use it within your own organization, or if you're working in an organization, you can use it in your job. And there's nothing wrong with that. I hear a lot of people kind of, in the entrepreneurial space, a lot of people kind of look down, I think, on people that choose to remain in employment rather than starting their own business. But all of us business owners need employees, and so I'm very thankful for those who are entrepreneurs who take their job and they try to make the most of it. I have a wonderful one who's part of my business, and she's like my right hand. I adore her, and she does such a great job of helping to make sure that the business runs smoothly. So she is not interested in starting her own business, but she is maximizing her contributions to my business, and that makes her an entrepreneur, and me, I'm the business owner, so I'm an entrepreneur, and I really lean on her a lot. So I want to make very, very clear, this is not specific to just starting your own business from scratch. You can use these keys to maximize um, your value at whatever organization you're part of. So number one, you want to identify your niche. So this is something, I call it, this is where you start to do some market research. Decide on the good or service you want to market. What is it that you want to bring to the market? It can be something as glamorous as a smartphone. Steve Jobs was kind of the glamour dude of tech because of the iPhone. It could be something as simple as the little plastic tabs that go on the end of your shoelaces. The person that invented those he's a genius, and two, he's a millionaire. It doesn't have to be something flashy. It can be something very, very simple where you see a need and you feel like you can meet that need. Now the trick is, can you sell it? And we'll dive into that. Number two is develop a business plan. This is just your plan of attack, so to speak. This is your strategy of how you're going to bring your good or service to market, how you're going to market it, how you're going to sell it, who your audience is. So, for example, if you are selling shoelaces, your target market is probably not the individual consumer. You are not business to consumer. You're business to business. And the specific business you're going to go after are people who make shoes that have laces. Okay, so you're going to go after Nike, Adidas. You're also going to go after companies that make work boots that lace, or any other shoe that laces. That's what your niche is going to be. So there's no point in marketing to the consumer. You're going to market to the person, the people that make shoes, if using that example. So you want to identify what your product is, how you're going to market it, who you're going to sell it to, and then kind of your 5-year plan. What are you going to do over the next 5 years to grow this business? What margins do you expect? This can get very, very detail oriented, and I do recommend you use an accountant to set this up or to help you set this up, because you're going to need projections, you're going to need estimated sales, you're going to need to know how many salespeople do you need, how much do you need to spend on advertising, where are you going to advertise? Is this something you want to advertise on the legacy media where you're buying TV ads, or is this something that you want to sell strictly on the internet? Do you want to use Facebook? Are you better off on LinkedIn? There's a lot of things that we can do here. But you want to come up, and I do recommend, by the way, talk to a marketing expert about some of this, because they will have some ideas to flesh this out that will help you determine what your budget needs to be. This is critical, by the way. You have to have a business plan, and you have to decide where you're going to market and how you're going to market. Now, for my own business, my marketing involves sending out free content via my podcast and video, so I'm on YouTube and Spotify. It involves blog posts where I also put my videos up. It involves posting on social media, trying to get people to engage with me. There's a lot of things that I do, and I'm getting ready to hire a marketing company to help me with all of this, because it's becoming more than I can do and still do the fulfillment for my business. So you're going to have to think about what your budget needs to be for marketing, not just the advertising itself, but for having the expert to help you with it. Next, you want to at least have some sort of understanding of small business accounting. It does not mean that you need to do all the accounting yourself, and I do not recommend you do all the accounting yourself, but you need to understand what is the profit and loss, what is the balance sheet, what goes on each one, how do I know what my cash flow is like, how do I read my cash flow statement? And I have videos that go into those, and I will probably do more videos that go into those, because it's such an important thing. You need to have a top-notch accountant working with you. And by that, I mean you need an accountant that will work with you and will be more than happy to meet with you at times other than tax season. Most accountants don't. We are very proactive about it. I actually have an automation in my business to remind me and to remind my clients to do a quarterly review of their books, for me to check their books, make sure everything's correct, and then to have a meeting with my client, or maybe my client and the bookkeeper, to discuss what their goals are. I have a client that wants to sell his business, so that changed the way we had to do his accounting, because now we need more information from him, and we need to be more in depth to make sure that the accounting is correct. And correct for his business. There are different ways of doing accounting. People think accounting is just money in, money out. It's actually not. It's much more in depth than that. That's why we have doctorates in accounting. It's very, very, it can be very, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot more details to it than just money in, money out. For small business, that's really where we focus our time. But business accounting is different from household accounting. When I did my household budget, I tell people all the time, I would take an envelope and I would write down all my expenditures and then figure out how much of that needed to come out of each paycheck. It was really easy. For a business, though, I need to know what income I need to have, what my revenues need to be to cover all of my expenses. Because as a business owner, I have control over that. It's not like when I was working at a hospital back east and I knew what my check was, because I worked 40 hours a week every week and I got paid by the hour. So I knew what my check was, and I knew how to kind of move things around in my checks to make sure that I could cover all my bills. In the business, it's more difficult. And in the profit and loss does not capture all of your outflows. It only captures your expenses, and your expenses may not be outflows in that month. They may be outflows in a later month. If you put something on a credit card, you don't have cash flowing out. it flows out 30 days later. So we need to know what your cash flow is and what your profit and loss is, and then the balance sheet shows what your liabilities are. In other words, what loans and credit cards you have, lines of credit, anything like that, where you can make purchases, but you don't have to actually pay out the money until later. So there's a lot that goes into small business accounting, and you should have a general overview of that. Again, you're not going to understand it completely, but you should at least know how to read your financials, and you should have an accountant that's proactive and is going to be willing to partner with you to help you grow your business. By the way, when I say have an accountant, I mean don't allow them to do all of your bill pay without your supervision. And that's actually been something I've struggled with my own personal clients. I've had clients that said, here, we want you to pay the bills. And I said, no, actually, no, that's a liability I don't want to take. I want to make sure that you know what I'm paying and that you approve the payments. So you should know what's going out of your business. You should know, you as the business owner should not allow your accountant or your bookkeeper to have full reign over your finances. That's a recipe for disaster. We have some safeguards built in at Bookkeeping Made Simple to prevent that. And again, I'm very proactive with my clients about wanting to double check and make sure that the work's being done, it's being done accurately, that my bookkeepers are doing their jobs right, and that any extra training I need to do, I do. So there's a lot of things that I do behind the scenes. But again, I say do not allow your accountant to just take over your paying of bills or to take over all of your collections. You should know what's going on with your finances. And your accountant or your bookkeeper should be a partner with you on that. They shouldn't be doing it all on their own. If you allow them to just if you just rubber stamp whatever it is that they say, you're setting yourself up for fraud. Okay? And I know several people, I know a lot of people who've been defrauded by business partners and bookkeepers. So we are very cognizant of that. One of my favorite classes in college was accounting fraud, and in order to know how to combat it, you have to know how to commit it. So I'm really interested in that, and I am very, very careful because my clients are very important to me, and I do not ever want them to come back and say, your bookkeeper defrauded me. So we have a lot of safeguards put in place in our business to protect our clients and to protect ourselves. So again, do not just turn over your finances to an accountant or a bookkeeper. You need to know exactly what's going on in your business at all times. Now, next, you need to navigate some legal requirements. This is the paperwork side. This is where it's usually very helpful to have an attorney do this for you. This is setting up your LLC or your business entity, however you want it set up, as LLC, S Corp, C Corp, whatever it is you want. I do not recommend an unprotected partnership, and I do not recommend a sole proprietorship. And the reason for that is you need the legal protection of an LLC of some kind or a corporation. So talk to your attorney or your accountant and decide what kind of business entity you want to have. Then you need to file it with the state. Then you need to get your business license. You need to file with FinCEN for the Corporate Transparency Act. Make sure you take care of all your legal requirements. If you need a business attorney in Utah, I have two that are fantastic that I cheerfully recommend to anybody. Now that you've done kind of the legwork, this is all the stuff that people don't see. This is the foundation of the business. We've done that now. Now you're going to start branding and marketing your business. So you're probably, and I do recommend this, I don't recommend anybody become an expert in all aspects of their business by themselves. You're going to want to talk to a marketing company, someone that specializes in marketing. Find out what the best ways are to market for your particular niche. Again, if you're selling shoelaces, you don't want to market to the general public. You want to market specifically to people who are going to purchase your shoelaces in bulk. That means shoe manufacturers. You also want to come up with your marketing plan at this point. So if you are marketing to the general public, How are you reaching them? Are you reaching them on Facebook? Are you relying on Google ads? What if they're over on DuckDuckGo instead? What if they decide to use Bing? How much of the market share can you reach just on Google? Do you understand Google's algorithms? Because those change all the time. It's very, very different from the 70s when my parents had their business when all we had to do was put an ad in the phone book. Today, you have a lot more work to do to build that business. You also, as part of that, you need to build a very strong network. And that means you need to get together and get out. I honestly recommend the networking group that I am a member of. I have drunk the Kool-Aid, so to speak. I really see a lot of results from this, and that is BNI. If you don't know how to find a BNI chapter in your area, please reach out to me, and I will find one for you. You can shop several chapters to see what one works, but it is a structured program that, by the way, I don't get anything for telling you about BNI. I do not get any credit for this. I don't get any credit for telling you about my sales trainings either, because these are things that I just believe in, and so I'm not getting compensated. But BNI is the networking group that I belong to. I have belonged to many networking groups over the years. In Utah, it was Corporate Alliance, it was Connect Utah. I didn't like those because they were so big that I couldn't meet everybody. I met some great people there, but I didn't get to meet everybody. And it was very hard to actually develop those relationships. When I started going to BNI, I had a core group of 20 people that I could really get to know, and I got to know them personally. One of the members of my chapter is one of my closest friends. She's also one of my fraternities. And I'm more than happy to refer business to her because I know her personally. She's a friend. I also know how good she is. I know what her background is. I know what she specializes in. She does family law and business law, and that's all she does. So I know that if I have a friend that's going through a divorce and it looks like it's going to be kind of a difficult one, I want to refer business to Kristen because I know how good she is. So, and I tell people all the time, let me put you in touch with her because she will steer you in the right direction, because she will go to court and she's happy to litigate, but that's not really what she likes to do. She likes to make sure that divorces are as amicable as possible, and she tries to facilitate that. And she also is aware of when opposing counsel is causing the problem, not the opposing party. So she's fantastic. And she is licensed, by the way, in Utah, Connecticut, and New York. So her training was in New York City. So I know she's good because she was good in New York. So she's amazing in Utah. Kind of a sad, elitist thing to say, but it is the fact. You know, New York is kind of cutthroat. Utah's a bit more laid back. I also get to know people in industries that have nothing to do with mine. So yes, I have met people that do wealth management, that do that are financial coaches, that are business coaches. I know a person that does mindset and nutrition exclusively. She teaches people how to change their mindset to lose weight. And she specializes in women, but she does work with men. I know a guy that he's a physical therapist. He has a doctorate in physical therapy. But really, he's a personal trainer. And he's been able to use both. So he takes people who are in pain and trains them through, he uses physical therapy techniques, and then he starts doing personal training techniques so that they can lose weight, get fit, keep the weight off. And I'm getting ready to work with him. So I'm excited about that. I know people who do countertops and cabinets and flooring. I know someone who just does roofs. So the really nice thing about that is if someone comes up to me and says, Donna, my roof's leaking, I have someone I can say, let me call David for you. He will come out and take a look at your roof, and if it's something simple, I already know this about him, if it's something that just needs to be patched, he'll patch it. He's not going to try to sell you a whole roof if you don't need it. He'll give you an honest estimate, and he'll stick to that. And I know that about every member of BNI. So network. You need to network. You need to meet other people who are going to know other people. And that is critical. It's also the most cost-effective marketing you will ever have. So yes, learn to network, join a networking group, and again, BNI is the gold standard. I also know of M&O that is just getting started, and they use kind of the same techniques. But BNI is the gold standard, and I recommend that to every business owner or salesperson. You know, if you want to meet people who are going to help you grow your business, BNI is the place to be. So you want to start building a strong network. Now you want to start leveraging digital marketing. And again, this is where I do recommend working with a marketing expert. Google changes their algorithms all the time. Facebook's changing things all the time. They're changing their terms and conditions. They're changing what you can say. They're changing everything. You need to work with a marketing expert that's on top of that. For the same reason that I recommend that you work with a professional accountant and you work with an attorney. You need that expertise. You need to leverage their knowledge so that you can grow your business and you can focus on your core. Now at this point, hopefully your main income stream, the business that you just started, is actually making money. You're meeting your margins, you're in profit, you're able to start banking some money, you're able to live off of what you're making. Now's the time, not before this. Now's the time to start looking at alternate sources of income. Wealthy people always have more than one source of income. Now, I say that, and people think they're in a dozen different businesses. That may or may not be true. But they do have alternate sources of income, and sometimes it is simply both spouses work. That's never the case with the very wealthy. If you look at Elon Musk, he has a lot of businesses. The trick to that, one, is you need to be able to leverage, and that means leveraging people and knowledge, like I was just saying. That's why I recommend you should have an accountant. You should have an accountant that is proactive, that does not have full control over your money, that is really good, that's willing to work with you and wants to be a partner with you to see your business grow. You don't need the kind of accountant that just meets with you once a year to do your taxes. That's nonsense. You need someone who's actually looking at your stuff. So once a quarter, I go through all of my clients' books, and depending on the level of service they purchased, I may do a full analysis and talk to them about what their margins are, what their current ratio is. I may talk to them about a lot of different esoteric things about accounting to help them improve and grow their business. I will talk to them about, you probably ought to increase your marketing budget because your revenue is falling. Can I connect you with someone who is in marketing, who can maybe talk to you about what your budget should be? So that's a lot of things that I do as an accountant. I try to be a connector, and two, I try to be very proactive so that we are the ones, one, everybody makes mistakes. I don't expect my bookkeepers to do it perfectly every time, but I want us to be the ones to catch them and fix them. And then I want to be proactive with my clients about this is where your business is. This is what your business is doing. So that's my goal. So when I talk about multiple streams of income, there's a number of ways you can do that. One would be, if I'm using a hairdresser as an example, a hairdresser's primary stream of income is to get clients in the door to cut their hair. They cut, color, perm, do all that stuff, make you look good. So that's their primary stream of income, but maybe they want to start a hair care line. So now that's a second source of income. And the great thing about a product, by the way, is that's not hampered by your ability to provide a service. You can only provide services for so many hours a day. But a product, you can sell as many of those as you want. So if you're a hairdresser, maybe you come up with a really great hair care line. Maybe it specializes in like curly hair. Or if you're a woman of color and you have textured hair, maybe you come up with a product line that is specific for that texture of hair. Which, by the way, there's not enough beauty products out there for Black women. So if you're a Black woman, that field is wide open. And I'm saying that as a white woman, I can see that most things are directed towards white women. As a curly-haired white woman, I like to go to the Black women products, hair products, because it's more in keeping, most white women have straight hair. So when I want to do, what used to be, if I wanted to have curly hair products, I literally had to find products that were geared for black women for their natural texture because there was nothing. Um, I will still say, if you're a black woman, that field is wide open. So, and if you're a white woman with curly hair, that field is wide open. It's so many of the beauty products are engineered for white women who do blowouts or black women who relax their hair, and that's about it. So there's a lot out there. You see a niche, it should be something that you want for yourself. So, because I guarantee you, if you have a problem that you need a solution for, someone else does too. So again, if you are a hairdresser, maybe you start a hair care line for a specific need. If you are, if you're an esthetician, maybe you come up with a special serum that does amazing things for aging skin. If you are a physician, maybe you come up with a vitamin or a supplement that's going to help people be healthier, or an exercise program to help them not need to come into the doctor's office so often. Or you come up with a preventative. Yes, I know health insurance covers some of this, but I have a hormone doctor that's not covered under health insurance. I cheerfully pay him every year because he helps me keep my weight down. He helps me um, keep my hormone levels optimal so that I don't have hot flashes because I'm in about that time of life. What do people want that you can provide that kind of goes with your business, your existing business? That's the first line of that is the first place I would look for alternate sources of income. Then I would start investing. And you can choose your investment vehicle based on your risk, your level of risk tolerance. So if you are risk averse, maybe you put it all in a money market account. If you are open to risk, you can choose some more risky things. You can maybe do day trading. I don't know. Options are a bit riskier. Buying and holding stocks are less risky, but there is some risk involved. So you could talk to someone who does wealth and financial management and talk to them about different vehicles that you can put your money in to help it make more money. Money is kind of like rabbits. If you put it in the right vehicle, it's gonna multiply. So and you want that. You want to have your money making more money for you. So start coming up with other product lines, other services. In accountancy, people talk a lot about doing advisory services because we can charge more for that. My core business is bookkeeping. We charge a monthly fee for bookkeeping, and then taxes are on top of that, and then advisory is on top of that. And then if you want us to take complete charge of your business, then we come up with a plan for that. But that's all within the accounting space. I could also come up with a coaching program. I could also come up with a school for bookkeepers. I could also come up with a lot of things, and I can create digital products to help me. One, it'll still market the bookkeeping business, and it will still help me grow. That's just an alternate stream of income. Maybe I'm talking to people who want to become bookkeepers, but they're never going to want to buy bookkeeping services. Well, maybe I come up with a licensing plan or a franchising plan or something like that, which all of these things are kind of in the back of my head. We haven't done these yet. So there's a lot of things you can do, and some of these are going to kind of come up and hit you in the face. People will come up to you and say, do you teach people how to do what you do? And you might take that and go, well, obviously there's a market for it. Maybe I should take some time to come up with a coaching program. Or you might decide, no, I just want to shove my money in a retirement plan and a money market fund and a rainy day fund, and I just want it to grow. But you need to have multiple sources. Some of the things that are recession proof, by the way, are accounting, pest control. The trick with, I know a lot of people that will start a home cleaning business, which I support because I don't like to clean my house, but I like having a clean house. And I don't have a lot of time. So I Yes, if someone has a house cleaning business, I'm a prime purchaser of that, but that is not recession proof. That's one of the first things I'm going to get rid of when money gets tight. So if you're in house cleaning and you're starting to lose clients, what else can you do to create other income? Can you sell cleaning products? Can you um, can you come up with another pricing plan? Can you do something else? You want to come up with multiple ways of making money, and the reason for that is if one goes down, you want something that will then go up and make up the difference. That way you're never just at the mercy of the markets. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that this works just as well for intrapreneurs as it does for entrepreneurs. So if you're inside of an organization and you're just trying to become the most indispensable employee that they have, you still want to create multiple streams. It may not be multiple streams of income. Maybe you are just devoted to your job and that's it. But if you're an executive assistant, can you make yourself indispensable to more than one executive? Can you come up with things that they need before they even need it? What is it that your executives need that they don't even know that they need? Maybe you can come up with a product for that and sell it to the company that you work for. That's what being entrepreneurish is about, entrepreneurial. Those are such hard words to say first thing in the morning. So that's really critical. You want to create multiple income streams, and it doesn't have to be flashy. That's where a lot of people, I think, they get bogged down. They get all excited about the idea of being in IT because that's the flashy, the cool profession. Or a lawyer or a doctor. It's flashy. It's cool. Being an accountant's not cool, but it's necessary. Um, so keep that in mind. Like I said, I mentioned the plastic tabs on the end of the shoelaces. I know there's a word for that, but I don't know what it is. That's not a super sexy product. That's not something you're ever going to see on Shark Tank, but it's wildly successful. So don't worry about whether it's cool. Don't worry about whether it's flashy. Don't worry about whether it's sexy. Worry about, is there a need for it? And if there is, it'll make you money. And money is cool, sexy, and flashy if you want it to be. One of the things that I do say, and I do recommend you take sales training, and in that sales training, I recommend Ryan Stewman's Apex program. Ryan Stewman was known as the hardcore closer. He's based out of Dallas. He's absolutely amazing, and his background is inspirational. I adore the man. I'm jealous of his wife. That's how much I love him. He is very, very honest and upfront, and that's something I really admire about him. He has not had the perfect background. I will let him tell you about it, but he's not had the perfect background. So he came up from working in his family's car wash to being a multimillionaire. And he did it with a lot of baggage that would have kept most people back. So I do recommend taking sales training from Ryan Stewman. I also recommend people like Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor. Part of really growing your business is growing yourself. I'm going to talk about that in a later video. But that's a really important part because you cannot develop your business if you're not developing yourself. That's critical. Now, you've got a business growing. Maybe you're starting to expand into different streams of income. Now you need to figure out how to scale your business. You should have a plan to. This is where I think a lot of people just kind of stop. They stop. They're a hairdresser. They're working 8 hours a day doing hair, doing haircuts, and that's all they do. But you can scale that, believe it or not. You can buy or lease a salon and have people come in and work for you who do as good a job as you do. You can train them to do the same job that you do. I do this with bookkeeping. I have bookkeepers that work for me so that I can serve more clients. And that way I have more time to do quality control. I have more time to be proactive with my clients. I have more time to grow the business because I have bookkeepers that actually do the bookkeeping. And then we work on developing relationships with the clients. So come up with a plan to scale your business. You can leverage other people's time. You can leverage other people's money. You can leverage both. So that is one of the final steps. Grow your business, and it doesn't have to all be done by you. In Utah, we have a very strong culture of do-it-yourself, self-sufficiency. You should be able to do everything all by yourself. I don't subscribe to that culture, partly because I didn't grow up here, so I haven't marinated in that. Even though I've lived here over 20 years, that's not really what I want for my life. I don't want to mow my lawn. I don't have time. I have other things I'd like to do on Saturday. But I'm certainly happy to make enough money to pay someone to mow my lawn. And Utah culture is kind of weird about the self-sufficiency thing. My idea of self-sufficiency is I can either do it myself or I can hire someone to do it. I have had a woman in my office who actually broke down in tears when I told her, you don't have to do it all by yourself. And that's because of the culture of Utah. In Southern California, the culture is completely the opposite. It's more along the way, I think, where if you can hire it out, you do. If you're wealthy enough to have someone come in and clean your house, to have someone do your books, to have someone, you hire out as much as you can because you want to keep your focus on what's making you money. You don't necessarily want to hire out raising your children because that's something really only you can do. But you can have help with that. So definitely leverage other people's skills, other people's knowledge, other people's time, other people's money, and it will grow dividends for you. And finally, you need to stay resilient. The economy right now is really weird. The market has been going up, but the Main Street businesses are struggling. So you need to be able to keep an eye on what's going on in the economy and in your business, and what can you do to shift with the tide, so to speak, with the wind. You want to make sure that if your business goes down, what can you do to adjust it? What can you do to make your business indispensable so people just cannot live without it? And you need to be very aware of, yes, what the stock market is doing, because that's usually a precursor to how the economy is doing as a whole. But you also want to make sure that you know what is going on in your industry. So you want to stay resilient. You also want to stay educated on it. So if you have an industry where there are conferences, go to the conferences. That's part of the networking as well. But you want to find out what is going on. For example, right now in the economy, people are wildly in debt, and they don't know how to, they need to learn how to adjust their spending to go with the reality of expenses are going up, prices are going up, wages are staying pretty flat, which is kind of typical for the American economy. So what can you do inside your business to weather that? You also want to make sure that you know what trends go on in your business. If you're in construction and you're in Utah, you probably don't work in December, January, and part of February. So make sure you've got money put aside for that. You want to make sure that you can stay in business no matter what. You want to make sure that you know what the trends are. You want to make sure that you are aware of what's not. This is where a lot of people, I think, have trouble because they will put their head down and they're just working in their business. They're working as an accountant, they're working as an attorney, they're working as a hairdresser, whatever it is they do. They're just focused on that, and they're not paying attention to the wider trends. You need to pay attention to the financial news and the wider trends at least a little bit, because that's going to tell you if you need to make a shift in your business. And you want to do that before everyone else does. You don't want to be one of the people that just jumps on a bandwagon. You want to be able to make those decisions and do that proactively. I'm big on being proactive. So those are my 10 steps to starting and running a business and becoming wealthy. I am in the middle of this. where I have a business. We are starting to diversify a little bit. I'm still working on the profitability. We're profitable, but we need to scale a bit more. So I'm just taking you along on my journey. I am not an internet coach, and I will say, choose your coaches carefully. If you choose a business coach and you pick one that has a cool, flashy YouTube ad where he's leaning up on the Lambo and his wife is leaning up on the McLaren and their gorgeous gated mansion is in the background, you want to make sure that person actually is who they say they are. Because there are a lot of people out there that their only business is coaching. They've never actually run a business. They've never brought a business from startup to IPO. They've never started a business other than the coaching. You don't want someone who only does coaching. The only one that I would recommend on that is probably Tony Robbins, because he has a 40-year track record. But you don't fall for the flash. Look for someone where you can look them up, you can find their business. My website is mysimplebookkeeping.com, and I'm not a flashy person. We live modestly. I'd like to have a little bit more flash, but we're not there yet. And I'm not trying to say that I am the be-all, end-all of business coaches. I'm not even a business coach. But I know a lot of people want to create wealth. And it's a really simple roadmap. Execution is a little bit harder because consistency is so important. But the roadmap is pretty simple. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. And like I said, for sales, Ryan Stewman. For business attorneys or wealth managers, please let me know if you need someone in any of those fields adjacent to accounting. I can certainly help you find someone that's going to suit you. And for networking, BNI all the way. Find a BNI chapter in your area and visit a few. One of the nice things about BNI, by the way, before I end, is that when you travel, you can still attend a BNI chapter. So we have friends in Southern California. When we go down there, I find a BNI chapter and I visit. When I go to visit my parents, I find a BNI chapter and I visit. And it's really, really nice because it helps me grow my network outside of Utah. So now I have people that I can talk to about business in Kentucky and in Louisville, in Dana Point, in Newport Beach. So now I have business contacts there, and I can continue to grow those. I have business contacts in LA. And when I go visit my brother in the Seattle area, I also go to a BNI chapter so that I can meet with other people and grow that network there as well. So everywhere I go, I find a BNI chapter and I attend it because I'm allowed to do that as a member of BNI. I'm a member of BNI International, not just BNI of Northern Utah. So that's something that really is nice for me. And I can search cross-chapter for people that I need. So if I need we have a standard in BNI, we have a code of ethics. So if I need a business attorney in California, I can find one who's a member of BNI in that area who's going to specialize in the laws of that state. And I can refer clients to them. So it's a wonderful organization, and I absolutely really enjoy being part of it. I think it's important for anybody in business to be a member of BNI. And that's it for today. I'm done ranting. That is your 10-step program on how to start a business and how to build wealth. It's simple, but it's not easy. So if you have any questions about it, comments, concerns, please feel free to as I always say, like, share, and subscribe, but comment below and let me know what you think, what you thought of this, if you thought I did a good job. I know this is a subject that can be less than interesting, and I do try to make it a little bit more interesting, but I am kind of hampered by my budget. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I am looking forward to talking to you again very soon.